Cool. So that's 8 p.m., right? Yeah. So now it's time to do our formal lesson. So let us invite our teacher Eris here, and he will show more about British accent. So Eris, yeah, it's now is your time.
Okay, hello. Hello, everybody. My name is Teacher Aris. Okay, so today I'm going to introduce you in a world of speaking proper British accent. Okay, so here, as you can see in the title, it says here how to speak in a British accent. So, what are accents? Accents are what do you call that? How you speak or you pronounce a word specifically. For example, there are what do you call that regions in the world where they speak a certain way. For example, in America, they have their own way of speaking their English, and people in the UK they speak British accent or British English. Okay, so that is the definition of accent. Okay, so let's discuss first. Okay, so the difference between adopting an accent and a study of standard language is adopting an accent is mainly concerned with the pronunciation, as you see here, with the pronunciation and deliberation per word. So it emphasizes and it focuses on how you pronounce a word, how you say it, and how you deliver the word. For example, there are words in the British way of speaking English when you say, give example. For example, there are, instead of saying the words uh, garbage, for example, something it's waste. They say it as rubbish. Okay, so it's a form of way of speaking. So there are phrases too, phrase or sentence while studying a standard language is concerned with matters such as correct grammar and more formal vocabulary style. So essentially, three basic things: how you say it, the right usage of grammar, rules, of course, and how how clear you say those words. So you have to really pronounce it very clearly. Okay, so what familiar words shall I give examples of? For example, there are words such as water, in British accent. It's water. In American, it's water. Okay, so if you would notice, the letter T is clearly pronounced. Okay, it's water, water, not water. Okay, in American, it's water. The T kind of sounds like a letter D. Okay, so it's all about clear pronunciation. Okay, so we're there already. Okay, so students, next slide is adopting British mannerisms while speaking will also help for authenticity. Okay, so authenticity, what thus authenticity means? It sounds genuine, it sounds true. Okay, so British accent mainly spoken in the south of England and exaggerated by the upper classes. Upper class, the Queen, Prince Charles, Princess Diana, posh, okay, sometimes described as a Queen's English. There are greatly differing accents across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, and for more regional or what they called authentic accents. Okay, so there are certain differences, in certain regions, but it's 80 to 90% the same, all of it. Okay, so the words are just well pronounced, and you have to know a lot of basic rules that are correct, of course, and a lot of words. Okay, so instead of using, for example, there's an expression that you could say, "Oh, marvelous," you know. For example, something happened that is very good, okay, and you like the outcome of that specific event. You would say, "Oh, it's marvelous. It's spiffingly good." Okay, so instead of saying "great," like in American, "Great," it's okay, yeah, it's awesome. Okay, but in British, what they say is, "It's marvelous. It's splendid. It's um, jolly good." Okay, that's how they use it. Okay, so next is these are the methods. Okay, as per seen in the diagram, you would see this. You would encounter this in every slide and every after topic that we discuss. There are certain ways and positions of your tongue, and that would help you, that would enable you to speak clearly and to retain the Britishness in your accent. Okay, so let's start with method one. Okay, start with R's. Okay, R's. It's really saying the R word is really particular when it comes to our letter or our consonant is really particular when they speak in English, in British. Okay, so here, method one, R's. Understand that in most British accents, speakers don't roll their R's, except for those from Scotland, Northumbria, Northern Ireland, and parts of the West Country and Lancashire. But not all British accents are the same. For example, a Scottish accent varies greatly from an English accent. After a vowel, don't pronounce the R, but out of the vowel and maybe add an So, for example, here is here, okay? Here, okay? Okay, you could say, I'm here. Okay, so if somebody asks you, where are you? I can't find you. So in the way you say it in British, here, the word here, okay, as you can see, the word here would be pronounced as here, okay? In words like hurry, don't blend R with a vowel. Say hurry, okay? Hurry, okay? Not hurry, okay? That's the difference. Or in some Scottish people, hurry, or Irish, hurry, okay? Hurry, okay? So method one in R's. Examples. This is very important. In American English, words ending with RL or REL can be pronounced using either one or two syllables completely interchangeably. This is not the case in British English. Okay, RL words like girl, hurl, etc. are pronounced as one syllable with silent R. Okay, so it's going to be girl, not in American, it's girl, or in Scottish, girl. Okay, hurl, harl. So some parts in Ireland, harl. Okay, and in Scotland. In British or Queen's English, they say it as girl, hurl, okay, etc. Sorry, are pronounced as one syllable with silent R, while squirrel is squirrel and referral is referral. Okay, so you have to be very mindful, okay, students, of how you say your R's. Okay, so what are some examples of R's? Okay, so instead of let's say the word um, swirl, okay, in American they say swirl. You could hear the R, but in British accent it's kind of minimized. It's swirl, swirl. it's sort of, like swell. Okay, swell. Okay, swirl. The R is really minimized. Okay, you can't hear it that much. Okay, so next slide. So method 1R's examples. Some words are easier to say in a British accent. For example, mirror, which sounds as mirror. Okay, in American it sounds mirror. In British accent it sounds mirror. Do not say mirror like mere. Okay, that's different. Mere is a different word. When you say mere, it means it appears to be. Okay, it appears to be just as. Okay, that's the meaning of mere. But here in the example, so instead of saying mirror, it's mirror, mirror, mirror. British people almost never do that. Okay, because you would sound very idiotic. It's going to be very idiotic if you read it like that. Okay, some awkward pauses in sentences are also removed by the addition of R before a vowel. For example, I saw it. Okay, so instead of saying I saw it, so because they don't want the pause, between, the word prior and the word that's coming after. So they say I saw it. I saw it. Okay, I saw it. So the R is connecting saw and it. Okay, to avoid the pause between the words saw and it. Another example is bacteria are small. Okay, so how they say it's bacteria are small. Bacteria are small. Okay, because some words, as I've mentioned earlier, some ways of how they read and how they pronounce their words and expressions and phrases and sentences. Okay, so method 2. Pronounce you in stupid and in duty with the you or you sound. Okay, so you. Method 2. So a little recap before we proceed with our method 2 is always be mindful of your R's. Okay, some R's are connecting two words, and always be very always be open to linguistic changes when you pronounce words. Okay, so examples: silent R's, always remember that, and connecting words. Okay, so let's move on with method 2. Method 2 is all about use. Okay, so method 2, avoid the U as in pronounce. Thus, it is pronounced stupid, or commonly stupid. Okay, stupid. You would never hear, a person in England, or most especially, people that are, from London proper, that they pronounce the word stupid as stupid because it's American again. Okay, so stupid, there are subtle differences. Okay, so stupid or commonly stupid, not stupid, etc. Duty would be pronounced as duty or more often duty. Okay, so once again, stupid and duty. In the standard English accent, the A, for example, in father is pronounced at the back of the mouth with an open throat, like an R. Okay, like an R sound. Okay, father, father, brother, mother. Okay, R with an R sound. That's an example. Okay, so method 2, use again. This is the case in pretty much all British accents, but it's exaggerated in RP. Okay, so what's the meaning of RP? Because there are two most common use. As I've said earlier, we have we have discussed a little Queen's English or Oxfordian, you know, upper classes, posh. And the other aspect, the opposite of that is RP, or um, received pronunciation. Okay, in southern England and in RP, words such as bath, path, glass, grass also uses vowel bath, path, glass, grass, etc. Okay, so I've said there are a lot of ways of how they pronounce it, but the RP is most accepted is instead of using you know um, bath, the a sound, it's bath. Okay, path. In American, it's path, bath, glass, grass, um, fast. So in British, it's going to be fast, grass. Okay. However, in other parts of Britain, bath, path, etc., sounds like an R sound. Again, R. Okay. So listening to my students are listening with me, please let's try it. Okay, R sound, bath, path. Okay, grass, last, fast. Okay, so very good. Okay, so method 3, enunciate on heavy consonant words. So this is really important. As I've said, British is all about enunciating the letters, most importantly, the the consonants. What are the consonants? Other letters that are not, a, e, o, u vowels are consonants. Okay, British people love to pronounce their T's. Okay, their T's is really important. They have to pronounce it. It's their way. Okay, so enunciate on heavy consonant words. Okay, so heavy consonants, method 3. Pronounce that T in duty as T, not as D, not duty. Okay, remember the T's in American are D's and how they say it. Okay, so duty, so that duty is pronounced as just duty, or softer duty, duty. Okay, there are subtlety in their pronunciations. Some pronounce it as duty, okay, or duty. See, so pronounce the suffix ing with a strong G, duty. Okay, this way it sounds like the ing rather than en or in. But sometimes it is shortened to in as looking. The words human being are pronounced as human. Okay, being human, been in certain areas, though it could. Okay, though it could be pronounced as differently. Okay, so pronunciation is key, as I've mentioned. Okay, so method 4. Sometimes you drop the T's. Sometimes there are words in British that you don't pronounce the T's. Sometimes you don't pronounce the D's also. You know, H, for example, the word honestly. You will never hear the word honest or honest. Okay, it's honestly, or honest. Okay, so instead of um, pronouncing it, there are specific words that are, what do you call that, exceptions to the rule. Okay, so method 4, T's. With some accents, including Cockney accents, T's aren't pronounced in words where Americans use D to replace it. However, there's usually a short pause or hiccup in its place. So battle might be pronounced as battle. Okay, the double T's. Okay, let me type it. I don't know if you could see it, but okay, okay. Some words, for example, battle, rattle, metal. Okay, in British, not Cockney, they pronounce it as metal, battle, or rattle. Okay, in Cockney they pronounce it because they remove the T's, the glottal T. It's pronounced as battle, rattle. Okay, so in American again, it's pronounced as the battle, rattle, metal. Okay, so battle might be pronounced as battle, but it would be a rare occasion to find someone saying battle. Okay, it's always battle, short. Okay, as you could notice, as you could see, the T's are removed. Battle, catching the air behind the back of the tongue at the end of the first syllable before expelling it on pronunciation of the second syllable. Okay, so you have to, there's an air behind of the tongue. Battle. Okay, rattle, metal. Okay, so next, this is known as a glottal stop. Okay, you have to pause. Use glottal stops too for words like mittens. For example, mittens, kittens in British or in Queen's English. In Cockney, it's going to be mittens. Instead of mountain, it's going to be mountain. Kittens. Okay? So if you could see some British actors, if you notice them using the glottal pause or the glottal stop, and they pronounce the glottal T's or they remove it, you could notice that, they're where they live or where they stay or where they originate. Okay? So for words like mittens and mountains, it's going to be mittens and mountain. It's just that British use them more often, most common people, because upper classes they don't pronounce it. There are certain ways. For example, they don't. If you were to listen to speeches, of the King of England, King Charles, and the Queen, God rest her soul. If you were to listen to her, how she reads and how she does her speeches, it's always T's. You will hear her T's. It's always there, you know. Okay, so next, method T's again. People with estuary English, RP, Scottish, Irish, and Welsh accents do consider it lazy and rude to drop the T's. And this feature doesn't exist, but in almost all accents, it's accepted to do it in the middle of words in casual contexts, and almost universal to put a glottal stop at the end of the word. Okay, so some estuary English, RPs, most especially Scottish, Irish, and Welsh. Welsh are from Wales, Irish are from Ireland, Scottish are from Scotland. Okay, so there are four major areas, in the UK, okay, and of course England. So they say that dropping the T's are rude. Okay, so this feature doesn't exist, but it almost all accents, it's accepted to always just pronounce the T. Okay, some do. Okay, so just to cut it short, most upper classes, they put the T, they use the T's, they're very careful and mindful, but most speakers, they drop the T's, the double T's most especially, they don't pronounce it. Okay, so method 5, observe that some words are pronounced as written. Okay, so some words are pronounced as written, some are not. Okay, so method 5. Observe that some words are pronounced as written. The word herb should be pronounced with an H sound. The word bin is pronounced as bean rather than bin or ben. Okay, again. So some pronounce the word as herb, some pronounce as herb. Okay, so for example, let's use the word herb in a sentence. So my mother goes to the shop and she purchases oriental herbal drinks, and she does it for her, pains. So, for example, bean, bean. Okay, it's pronounced as bean or bean instead of a short I, bin. Okay, so what has been your problem, or what had been your problem? Okay, or you could say the word um, there has been an update. We know the location of the parcel that you're looking for. Okay, so rather than bin or ben, for RP again and Renaissance are pronounced like again. Okay, and Renaissance, not Renaissance. It's Renaissance. Okay, so it's not complicated to learn. It's easy. All you have to do is just practice. Okay, my students, if you really want to learn the British accent, it's always practice consistently, and three basic things: right grammar, a lot of vocabulary words that you know, and you clearly speak it. That's it. That's basically it. Okay, so with the R, as in pain, not said. The words ending in body are pronounced as written, like anybody, not anybody. Okay, you see the difference? Anybody, not anybody, but use a British short O sound. Okay, anybody, not anybody. Okay, so again, you have to be very mindful of how you um, observe the written words. Some words are pronounced as written, simple as that. Okay, herb. Okay, but I've said earlier there are words too. If you can pronounce it as instead of just honestly, because that's wrong. Okay, it's honestly, silent H. Okay. Okay, so method 5, observe the H is not always pronounced. Here comes the rule. Okay, so observe that H is not always pronounced. The H is pronounced in the word herb. Okay, in contrast, herb, however, in many British accents, at the H at the beginning of a word is often omitted. Okay, so what does omitted mean? It means it's removed. It's not considered. Okay. The H at the beginning of the word is often omitted, so it means such as in many northern accents and the Cockney accents. Okay, so words are pronounced in a certain way. So if you want to learn it, the best way is to hear speakers of the language, of the accent, and just emulate. What does emulate mean? Emulate means is to just copy what they do. Simple as that. Or if you want to practice so much, my tip for you, students, is to always just watch movies. Watch Hamlet. You know, it's a very popular English movie, Hamlet. It's um, it's a novel. It's a book actually of Shakespeare, and you can watch Netflix. A lot of British movies there for your reference. Okay, so that you know how to speak certain words, so you might not get confused onto how to pronounce it. Okay, so again, so some words are not always pronounced. You know, some words are pronounced with the H and some are not. Don't get confused. Those are their rules. Okay. Okay, so I would like you to, I will type certain phrases here. I don't know if you can see it, but here there are certain phrases in English that I would like you to practice with me. Okay, Harry is an honest man. Okay, so everybody, if you're listening, again, Harry is an honest man. Okay, your turn, guys. Harry is an honest man. Okay, or let's use this. Harry is I'm sorry. Harry likes herbal drinks. Okay, Harry likes herbal drinks. Okay, one more time, everybody. Harry likes herbal drinks. Herbal drinks. I want to hear the H. Herbal drinks. Okay, very good. Now let's move on to the next. Say been, not been. For the word been. Been. Okay, it's really confusing, I know. People get confused. But when you see a double E sound, it's most of the time you have to pronounce a long E sound. Been. Okay, it has been a year. It has been a year, not been. It has been a year. It has been a year since we've spoken. Okay, that's an example. Okay, so method 5. Say been, not been. For the word been, in American accents, this is often pronounced as been. In an English accent, been or bien is a common pronunciation, but been is more often heard in casual speech where the word isn't particularly stressed. Okay, so sometimes, the words are not stressed. So it has been a year. Okay, there have been a lot of changes here. So as you can see, we used to have um we used to have dogs, but I I gave it to my neighbors, to my neighbors, all of them. So as you can see, there are certain ways when they pronounce bin. Okay, in American, that's right. There has been a lot of changes. As you can see, I used to have dogs, but I gave it away to my neighbors. Okay, uh, how and the manner of how they speak it is different. So there has been a lot of changes here. I used to have dogs, but I gave it away to my neighbors. I don't want to take care of them anymore. So that's an example. Okay, so it's all about um, again clear pronunciation and how they speak it. So how do you master it? Just practice all the time. Okay, guys. Next is method 5. Notice that two or more vowels together may prompt an extra syllable. Okay, so two or more vowels. So let's see for the example. Okay, notice that two or more vowels together may prompt an extra syllable. For example, the word road would usually pronounce as road, or But in Wales and with some people in Northern Ireland, it might be pronounced as roared. Okay, roared. Okay, so the word road is going to be road. In American, it's road. Down the road, man. I think there's a car down the road. That's American. Okay, that's neutral accent, American accent. But in British, there's a car, I think, down the road. Road. Really particular. Okay? But in Northern Ireland, I think there's a car and a road. It's weird, It's weird. Scottish and Irish, they sound alike, but they have subtle differences as well. Okay, so some speakers may even say rard. Okay, so rard. Some they have certain ways, as I've mentioned multiple times already. Okay, so road, simple road, road in American, and roared in Irish. Okay, so let's try and exercise, everybody, how to use certain words in, let's say, in English, in American English, and in British English. Okay, for example, let's use the word uh, garbage. Okay, as I've said earlier, there are certain words in British, that they use that are very, that, in America they don't use. They don't use it because there are certain, what do you call that, vocabulary that are really exclusively for the two countries, so it shouldn't be mixed together. Okay, so when you say garbage, it directly translates to rubbish, in British. Okay, so rubbish. Oh, I think that's rubbish. Okay, so in American, I think it's garbage. I don't want to listen to that album. It's garbage. I don't like it. Okay, for example, in the word tire. Okay, so how does the British people pronounce tire? So instead of pronouncing it as tire, they pronounce it as tire. For example, the tire in the road. Okay, so in American, they pronounce it as Tire. 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 In British, they pronounce it as tire. Just change the bloody damn tire so that we could go already. For example, let's translate it in American. Just change the bloody tire already so that we could go and leave this place. Okay? So those are words. Later in our discussion, I will try to insert certain vocabularies that you guys could do. For example, that you could, um, if we have more time, okay, I will put in words for you guys to use that in British English and American English that they use separately, but is commonly always similar. Okay, so let's go back to our road. Okay, method 6, listen to the music of language. Okay, so you have to be always listening to people, how they pronounce certain words. Okay, so listen to the music of language. All accents and dialects have their own musicality. Uh, they pay attention to the tones and emphasis of British speakers. Sir Jonathan Ive is a good example. I'm sorry. Sir Jonathan Ive is a good example. Listen to his accent at Apple revealings. Do sentences generally end on a higher note, the same or lower? How much variation is there in a tone throughout a typical sentence? There is a huge variation between regions with tonality again. So, again, when it comes to accents, it's all about listening and tonality and how you say the words. Okay, so it has to be very clear in a specific manner. Okay, so tonality. When you say, let's say, example, in American example, in British English they say example, example. I'm going to give you an example. Simple example. Okay. So little, uh, those are little, what do you call that? Examples for you to use, everybody. Okay. So listen to the music of language. Okay. Oh, here. Next slide. Listen to the music. British speech, especially RP, usually varies much less within a sentence than American English. And the general tendency is to go down slightly towards the end of a phrase. However, Liverpool and Northeast England are notable exceptions. Okay, so as the slides says, for example, the music of language, instead of saying, is he going to the store? Say, is he going to the store? You see the difference. Okay, so when you see a word written and it's all uppercased, the stress of the tonality must be higher. Okay, so again, is he going to the store? Okay, and some how they read it is he going to the store? Okay, have the question descending in a tone is as opposed to ascending in tone. Going up in tone is more common in American or Australian English. So, as it says, going up in tone is more common in American English. So, is he going to the store? Okay. In British, it's always, at the last. Is he going to the store? Like that. So, there are music to languages and dialects. Guys, students, okay, everybody that is here, you must be very open and listen to how they sound, so that may help you, and how that would give you an edge in studying and learning, the language. Okay. Okay. So next slide. Get a British person to say well-known sentences. So if you know someone that's British, you know, might as well practice conversations with them. That's the best way. Or if you don't have access to British people, might as well practice with the next best thing, a teacher. Okay, I'm here. So everybody, if you are interested to join our classes, okay, I'm here, and you can contact our what do you call that, our person or our people that would direct you to have classes with me, and they will assist you in enrolling in our classes. Okay, so it's all about practicing also. So I encourage all of you, because it's really, you know it's really tremendous if you could always practice it with a professional, okay, with a person that is going to be here um, in your step-by-step learning process. It's not just, we just have this conversation, that's it. Okay, so if you really want to learn, it's all about practices and consistency and doing it every day. And you could see the changes. Okay, so going back to our method 6. Okay, so get a British person to say well-known sentences. How now, brown cow, and the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain. And pay close attention. Rounded mouth vowels in words such as about in London are usually flattened now then, now then, um, in Ireland, usually flattened in Northern Ireland, I'm sorry. Okay, so how, now, brown cow, and the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain. Okay, see the difference. Okay, so rounded mouth vowels, cow, those are rounded. And words such as about in London are usually flattened in Northern Ireland. Okay, London. Okay, in Ireland, in Northern Ireland. Okay, London. Okay, okay. For example, the word about. Okay, that's how Irish say it. The Irish people. So again, how, now, brown, cow, and the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain. Okay, that's how they pronounce it in English. You know, the Queen's British English. Okay, so there. Method 6, immerse yourself in the British culture. This means surround yourself with individuals that speak, live, and walk and talk in British English. So, if you know people, friends, if you know, what do you call that? If you have company, let's say you work in a company and there are British nationals there, might as well practice conversations with them. You know, if you see like there's a group of foreigners, might share a few greetings with them. That wouldn't hurt. Just talk to them and tell them, hey, I could show you a decent spot in our city, and the foreigner might come with you. But you don't have to force the foreigner because he might be weirded out or creeped out if you force yourself. So the best thing is just let if you approach them and they respond, then that is a good sign that the person or the foreigner, the British person or the American person is willing to engage with you in conversation. Then you can take that as a cue or a hint to further communicate, because it's all about opening up. Okay, so if you have friends, lucky you can practice with them. But if you don't, then and as I've said earlier, practicing with them, and if you have somebody like a professional to help you, learn English, I'm here to help you in my classes. The thing that you always have to remember is always consistency, and you have to do the work, because how would you expect results if you're not doing the work and if you're not practicing, right? Okay, so method 6, immerse yourself in the British culture. This means surround yourself with individuals that speak, live, and walk and talk in British accents or British English. It's the surest way to learn a British accent quickly. Soon you'll find yourself naturally able to speak with the variations above. Anything with a British speaker will work, and try listening to the BBC. The BBC is a British broadcasting company. It's like the CNN of Britain, okay, of UK. It's like the NBC News, okay, so which provides free radio and television newscasts on the web. Okay, so you have to listen to them. And songs, with British singers, songs or movies, British characters, songs. For example, John Lennon, Beatles, Hey Jude, don't be afraid, like that. That's Hey Jude by the Beatles. And, Adele, she's British. So when you listen to her music and her interviews, you could get how she talks. Okay, so and British characters in movies. Legolas, in Lord of the Rings. Those are very popular movies. Lord of the Rings, In British, Game of Thrones, a lot of good movies, really interesting movies, and television series, and a lot of, let's say, media, you know, British news, like like an example in Britain, for example, in the UK today, there has been an explosion in the Central Park, like that, and you could see the news flashes, under the screen, and you would see. So the report of the police, they saw a man carrying a bomb entering the light train. As per schedule, the police have been there and they searched the place and all of it. In a couple of minutes, the person would be. And here is James Samuels, our reporter on the field, and she will tell us the report. So it takes like a couple of seconds and a minute before the reporter hears how how would she respond to it. Okay, yes, I'm here, Billy. Thank you. I saw the police here. They've been in the place and they have recovered a lot of debris, and there are a lot of people that have been hurt. And the paramedics and the police are working together in cooperation to alleviate the situation. Okay, that's how reporters they do it, in radio stations and the BBC. So that is one way to improve your English. It's just getting familiar all the time. Okay, so for more lessons, as you can see, please reach to our course consultant below, and she will assist you in our classes. So it's been fun having this short lesson with you. So about the words that I would type for all of you. So we're going to do a little exercise, okay? So we're going to do a little exercise for everybody so that we could practice. Okay, so I will type a few words in English, in British English that you could use for reference. For example, as I've typed earlier, in British it's read as tire. Okay, in American English it's going to be tire. Okay, so next word in British it's going to be favorite. Sorry, favorite. Okay, favorite. In American, it's going to be favorite. So see the difference. So let's try and use the word favorite in a sentence. Okay, so I love pink cakes. It's my favorite. Okay, in American, I love pink cakes. It's my favorite. Okay, so next word, let's say theater. That's how they pronounce it in British. In American, it's the opposite. They pronounce it like that: theater, theater, theater. Okay. In British, it's theater. I went to the theater earlier, and I saw what's Adele's movie? Oh, I saw James Bond with my girlfriend, and we saw the movie at the theater, and we've had dinner after. In American, we saw the movie, of Adele's. I think it's James Bond, and after the theater, we had dinner. Me and my girlfriend. Simple. Okay. So other words, for example, in British, they pronounce it as, let's say, PJs, pajamas. So they pronounce it as pajamas. Okay. On the other hand, the Americans, they pronounce it as pajamas. So they pronounce it as pajamas. In American, it's pajamas. Okay, so words, simple words for you guys to use, and this is crucial. You would always hear a British person to refer. Okay, they would refer to words like, instead of British, they say airplane, aeroplane, okay, aeroplane. In American, it's airplane. Okay, so again, aeroplane. Okay, so I booked a flight to Malaysia, and the aeroplane is 30 minutes delayed or late to hit the tarmac of the airport. So it's not there yet. I think my flight could be delayed. Okay, in American accent, I think my flight got delayed because the airplane isn't here yet, so it's got to be delayed. That's a difference. Okay, so another crucial word to that they use, and you know be their program in British, and in American it's program. Simple as that. So program. We've seen the BBC program, and it says that there are a lot of cases of COVID, and it reports a lot of mortality in certain areas of Wales. Okay, in American, there are a lot of. I've seen the CNN program, and it says that there are certain areas in the United States that there are spikes in mortality. Mortality means people are dying because of the COVID situation. Okay, so that's another uh, how words in British and words in American. Okay, so next one, draft. So in British, they pronounce it as draft. In American, it's draft. So again, notice draft, draft, draft. Okay, in American, it's draft. Simple as that. So let's try to imitate the Queen. I've written a draft of my letter to send it to my son, the Prince Charles. I think that's an example. Draft. Okay, let's say it's a political something person. I've written a draft in American. I've written a draft of my letter, and I sent it to the senator of Wisconsin, and my requests and demands are written there. Okay, so that's the difference. Okay, so some words for you guys to take note on, some words for you to remember to practice. Okay, most people they tend to not practice these words. That's why they get surprised. Why am I not improving? Because people don't have consistency. So it's all about consistency and practicing all the time. Okay, so um, other words for me to add, so that we have a very extensive um, what do you call that? You have a very extensive reference of words to use. Okay, so I just don't. Yeah, I will add more entries to your vocabulary. Okay, so next word. It's really common that most people use. For example, the word um, sidewalk. Okay, British people they use the sidewalk. Okay, or pavement. Okay, in in American they use gutter. Okay, gutter. Or in the sidewalk, or they say, or most, but the formal use of it is always pavement in British. You will always see that. Uh, I saw, I saw a bag fall on the pavement earlier. I think it belongs to her. In American, I saw a bag fell earlier today in the gutter, on the gutter, I'm sorry, and I think it's hers. So the difference is there. Okay? So I hope that you guys have learned few words here, and let me add more words for you to use as reference. Okay, so before that, I would like you to practice more words with me in using words. For example, I will type some words here, and I want you to practice it with me. Okay, so in the UK, they use the word mum instead of mum. In American, it's mom, mom. Okay, notice the difference in the vowel that they use. Instead of, in the UK, they use U. In American, they use O. Okay, mom. In American, it's mom. Hey, mom. Hey, mom. I thought you were going to the market earlier. Why are you still here? Okay. In American, hey, mom. I thought you were going to the market. Why are you still here? The difference, subtle difference. Okay. Next, for example, the word color. Instead of color, that's in the UK. In American, it's color. Okay, I like the color blue in British. In American, I like the color blue. Simple. Okay, so some words with, oh, very, very special word that most British people use. Instead of using gasoline, they use petrol. Okay, in American, they use gasoline. So you could say, I have filled up the tank of my lorry with petrol. I think it was about 20 liters. So in American, I've lorry. Okay, that's another one. Lorry is a term for truck. Okay, truck. So in American, I filled up my truck earlier, like 20 liters of gasoline. Okay, lorry. So that's a term for truck. It's a vehicle. So certain words and certain, for example, this one here, license. So instead of how the British write it, it's license with a C. Okay. In American, I use it like this, license. So I could say, let's use an example. License. I have my driver's license at the age of 12. No, that's wrong. 18. Okay, so in American, I have my driver's license since I was 18 years old. Okay, so another term, headmaster. Okay, headmaster. And last word is, let's say, principal. Okay, so in the Brits, they use headmaster. Okay, for example, in school, and you were in trouble, and you saw that your teacher was about to send you to the headmaster for misbehaving. Okay, so your teacher would, hey, If you keep on doing that, Teddy, I will send you to the headmaster. And you will go to see the principal or the headmaster. In American, I will send you to the principal for misbehaving, and I think that's really inappropriate. Your behavior is going to be suspended. Simple as that. Okay, so I think that's just about the time that we have for our lesson today, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Hope that you have learned a lot in our little prepared lesson for all of you. And three things very important. Okay? Clear pronunciation, expansive use of vocabulary, and right grammar. And always practice with us. Okay? I will see you next time, everybody. Bye bye.
Cool.